The streets of Zocalo are all blocked off.
What's going on?
I'm not sure we'll be able to get to El Templo Mayor.
Can we even get to the Palacio de Bellas Artes?
Let's try down here.
Today we're headed to Mexico City's Centro Historico, or Historic Center. We're taking an Uber from our apartment in Condesa to El Centro Historico to check out Zocalo, El Templo Mayor, the Palacio de Bellas Artes, and Mexico City's oldest municipal park, Alameda Central. For safety reasons, we're doing this during daylight hours and have tucked our belongings into the front interior pockets of our clothing. There was tons of traffic, so our Uber ride took us 30 minutes and cost 120 pesos. When we arrived, all the streets leading up to Zocalo Square and El Templo Mayor were blocked off. There were tons and tons of people, and we couldn't seem to get through anywhere. We weren't sure what was going on and if we were going to get stuck in a protest. As this seemed like a potentially risky situation, we wanted to move away quickly. After weaving through some of the streets, we figured out what was happening. This was the day that President Joe Biden and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau were in town for a summit with Mexico's President Obrador. We decided to walk away from the Zocalo area down the Avenida Cinco de Mayo towards the Palacio de Bellas Artes and the Alameda Central Park to see if things were better over there. Thankfully, the streets started to feel a little bit less congested as we walked. On the way, we passed the House of Tiles, or La Casa de los Azulejos, which is a Baroque palace built in the 18th century and just super cool to look at. A block later, the Palacio de Bellas Artes came into view, and it was amazing to see. I love the metallic domed roof and all of the sculptures surrounding the entrance. And the Alameda Central Park, with its wide walkways and beautiful fountains, was a welcome break from all the noise in the surrounding area. Looking back down Avenida Cinco de Mayo, we saw the streets were still barricaded. We were still pretty hopeful that the streets to Zocalo and to Templo Mayor would eventually open up. So we went to Los Bisquetes Obregon, which is a Mexican chain of about 110 locations, for some lunch. Since the streets are still blocked off, we're going to have some lunch and see if we can get to the square after lunch. I ordered the nopales, or cactus, with chicken. Chris ordered the chicken enchiladas. And Chris's dad, who was visiting us for the week, ordered the enchiladas suiza. The food was pretty good and the service was friendly. Lunch for 3 people came to 389 pesos. And guess what? It looks like the square has finally reopened, so we're going to walk down Cinco de Mayo and see if we can get there. Coming out of the restaurant, we saw that the barricades were getting taken down and being put into these rather intimidating-looking trucks. Could you imagine the fun we'd have if we put these tires on our Honda Pilot microcamper? And we were finally able to get to the Templo Mayor. We checked it out from both the free walkway above the archaeological site, as well as from the paid area. The free and raised walkway gives a good overview of the ruins, and you can see most of the site from here. The center of the Aztec civilization, right here. The paid area includes walkways that take you through the ancient ruins, as well as the museum at the end. Going through the paid area took us about 90 minutes. I'll put the link in the description below for more information on the museum. The Templo Mayor is the largest temple built in this area. Its original size was smaller than the Pyramid of the Sun at the Teotihuacan archaeological site about 50 kilometers north of the city, but larger than the Greek Parthenon we visited last year. El Templo Mayor was built in the center of the city of Tenochtitlan, which was the capital of the Aztec civilization. It was founded by the Mexica group of the Aztec people around 1300 AD. Tenochtitlan only existed for about 200 years, and then it fell to Spanish conquerors led by Hernán Cortés in 1521 AD. Its location became the center of modern Mexico City.
Can I just read it?
Yeah.
It is a must to view the magnificent sculptures of 4 serpents' heads next to the stairway. At each end of the facade, there are 2 enormous undulating serpents that have retained their original color.
El Templo Mayor was built in 7 stages over 2 centuries. The first stage built the most interior part of the temple, and each Mexica ruler built on top of the previous stage to continue expanding it. As the new stages were built, the older stages became inaccessible. Now let's check out Zocalo Square. We arrived around 4:50 p.m. just in time to see the Mexican military taking down the massive Mexican flag that flies on the giant flagpole in the middle of the square. Taking down the flag each evening is a process that takes about 10 minutes. At the center of the flag is the Mexican coat of arms, which is based on the Aztec symbol for Tenochtitlan. The coat of arms is an image of an eagle sitting on a cactus devouring a snake. This image represents the story of how the Aztecs decided where to establish their new city of Tenochtitlan. Zocalo Square itself was originally made by the Tenochtitlans to be their main ceremonial center, and was kept post-Spanish conquest as a political and ceremonial area. And that's our day seeing the Palacio de Bellas Artes, El Templo Mayor, and Zocalo. As the traffic has now picked up even more, our Uber ride back to Condesa took us over 45 minutes and cost 200 pesos.